Hi, my name's Matt and I have a vintage folding canoe, but it needs some refurbishment before I can get it back on the water. This is my video diary of how I'm about to do that. Last time I surveyed the canoe and found it to be in pretty good shape. The only area that really needed some real attention was the rubberized hull. It was in pretty poor shape, so a simple patch-up repair wasn't going to be good enough. So I've decided to invest in a reskinning of the hull. But before I do that, I need to patch up the holes. Before we proceed though, it's always worth looking at the handbook to see if there's any good advice to be had. So here is Mr. A.S. Cavender. He's the principal of Granta Folding Boats and Cavender and Clark. And he says that in the 25 years that they've been supplying folding canoes to every country in the world, notably with the exception of Russia and Tibet, most of our customers are friends who send us appreciative letters and photos of their canoes and from whom we are delighted to hear. I cannot know them all personally, but I do give a professional and individual service, and this service continues long after the original purchase. And then he goes on to say, so don't hesitate to write to me personally if you have any problems. Well, I shall certainly do that if I get a problem. So the first thing we need to do is fix the hole in the hull. And to do that, I'm using tear aid, in particular type A tear aid. To effect the repair itself, I laid the tear on a flat board and with a pair of scissors cleaned up any of the loose edges and flaky bits of canvas and rubber. And then taking an alcohol swab, thoroughly cleaned the area. The tape itself, I measured an inch beyond the tear and cut rounded corners. The tape sticks almost instantly, so there's no chance for repositioning or anything like that, so need to be careful at this stage. Once the tape is down, give it a vigorous rub to ensure that all the air gaps and all the creases are out. It was simply a case of turning the canoe over and doing exactly the same procedure on the other side to make sure I had a very strong and durable repair. There was a couple of other areas on the canoe which benefited from having a bit of tape put on it, so I did that as well. Now that I've patched up the holes, the next step is to start skinning the boat. And I'm going to start with the tail end of the boat with the sword patches, something like that. Now the end of the boat does come with this furniture, and there's a keel piece inside which just simply bolts off, and you can pull that away, and that will give us a nice flat surface in which to make our patch. So the first thing to do is obviously get all your bits and pieces together. I've got my Hypalon patch, a roller to rub it down with, some glue and activator, some really cheap throwaway brushes. They work out at about 60-70 pence each. Some sandpaper to prepare the surface, lots and lots of duct tape, some toluene for cleaning the surface before I glue it, and some disposable gloves. So what I've done is I've put some duct tape along the canvas part here to protect the canvas. I've positioned my patch and taped it down so can't go anywhere but the right place now. I've got some more protection here because I'm going to be gluing this side obviously and all this side. But before we do any gluing, we have to prepare the surface, so I have to give to both sides a good scrub. Got a nice clean coarse sandpaper, and do the same on the Hypalon as well. So I keyed in the rubber and brushed out the horizons. So now the next thing is to use the tollerine to give the area a very good clean. Now this toluene is, if you read the labels, it's very nasty stuff, so always wear the hand protection and take care, because it is dodgy stuff. So the next stage would be to mix some glue with the activator, and it says you want 6% of activator to the glue. So what does that mean in real terms? Well, or if you had 80 millimeters, that's 1 medicine spoon of that. So that's what you want to be doing, is measuring in 80 milliliter units, because then you know how much activator you can put in. So I'm just going to go and mix a small amount of glue, and then we'll apply it and we'll show you how to do that. So I've got my glue mixed up. Just give it a good stir. And the idea is to paint a good layer of glue on this surface and also on the surface of the Hypalon, and then we let that dry for about 15-20 minutes before adding a second coating, which will give about 5 minutes to go tacky before actually applying the patch itself. So when the glue is dry to touch, you give it a second coat with what's left of the glue before it dries fully. And then the moment of truth, where we take our patch and we slowly roll it into place. So as we do this, we press down firmly. And with a roller, get a good solid bond, pushing out any air bubbles along the way. I want to go and get a nice seam on the edge there. And I'm not too worried about a crinkly edge here, because I can take those bits out, and I am going to put a nice sort of keel pad on the front there. A bit, and then just go around the whole canoe. So I've just glued a new Hypalon skin to my foldable canoe, and it's looking pretty good. There's some trimming to be done, and to do that I thought I would build the canoe up and trim it in its proper shape so I don't get it wrong. Unfortunately, I've hit a snag. Let me show you what I mean. So the canoe's got its new skin on, and as I said, it needs trimming, and I do that once the canoe is assembled. The problem is I can't assemble the canoe because the canvas was quite stretchy and the Hypalon material is not, and it's under a huge amount of tension and I can't get this to sort out. I've had to modify the ends here to give it some slack just to get the deck down. As you can see here, there's a good 4 inches of overlap here where the canoe is just not stretching. It would appear that the canoe has shrunk somewhat, and it looks nice and tight, and it is tight, but for some reason there's no give in it anymore, and I'm having to have a think about it again. So I will have to modify one of these planks and shorten it, similarly with those rods, and think of a means to secure that end here, which is a bit of a mess at the moment. It's under a lot of strain. Put some bolting system in there, and again these catches here, they don't fit anymore, but I think a bolting arrangement would be much more secure. So all in all, not very happy. There's a lot more work to be done now. Still, we'll get there in the end, I'm sure.